We all cut our teeth making millions of dials a day, walking both ways uphill in the snow. I get it. It doesn't work like that anymore. And we have to be able to put aside our ego and put aside the idea that, hey, I had to go walk through the coals. Why don't these folks? Well, it is what it is. There's a reason why we are in the owner's seat and the others are here to learn.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever part of the day it is for you and yours, wherever you are. This is Craig Pretzinger. This is another playbook, and actually the fourth in the 4 biggest mistakes that agents make and how to avoid them, what you need to do to get results with internet leads. So let's look at number 4. This is the doozy, and it's all encompassing and it's critical. You have to have a process. If we go into an internet lead marketing strategy and we don't have an actual strategy behind it, right? We don't have a process that we build out ahead of time so that it makes it very simple to track and measure. It makes it very simple to determine what lead vendors to keep, what lead vendors to get rid of, what performance metrics are used to identify results. If we don't have all of these different pieces in place, it's going to be a hot mess. I remember at the beginning of this, somebody called me and asked me about internet leads. And I remembered asking, well, how are you tracking them? How are you keeping track of all your internet leads? And they said, on an Excel spreadsheet. If I had the cricket noise right now, I'd play it. Chirp, chirp. It's 2022. There are so many ways to track and measure. Excel spreadsheet is probably the worst way. Unless you're going to use a crayon and paper, then that's going to be worse than that. But let's use something that takes advantage of the technology that's out there, right? We have to avoid going in and just hoping it'll work, which is what my experience was. All the times over the 12 years that I'd bought internet leads, I can promise there was no process defined. There was no process followed. There was no means of tracking and measuring. It was just sort of point and shoot and hope for the best without really knowing what to do. So we know what type of lead we need. We know the time that it takes for those leads to marinate, and we know how many leads we need, and we know what we're going to do once we're getting those results, or whether we're going to adjust or what we're going to do. Now we need that process, right? So we have to avoid going in without a process. Otherwise, it's like going into the Super Bowl and having no plays. No bueno, right? That team is not going to win. You can't just hope for it. So we got to have that process. And what we've developed is the Telefunnel, right? The Telefunnel is the process behind the whole thing. And that's an incorporation of the leads, the dialer, your teleteam, your producers, and then the follow-up. So there's a lot of moving parts in the Telefunnel itself, but the Telefunnel is the roadmap that your marketing is going to go through, right? We're going to apply the leads. Once we have the right kind of leads purchased, we're going to put them in there. We're going to put them in a dialer. That dialer has to be legal, has to be compliant, has to give us speed, right? Because the quicker that we put more dials on the leads, the quicker we know how good they are. We have to have a teleteam. Without a teleteam, you're setting yourself up for mediocre results and likely turnover of your sales team. I know We all cut our teeth making millions of dials a day, walking both ways uphill in the snow. I get it. It doesn't work like that anymore. And we have to be able to put aside our ego and put aside the idea that, hey, I had to go walk through the coals. Why don't these folks? Well, it is what it is. There's a reason why we are in the owner's seat and the others are here to learn. They're here to have a job. They're never going to care about it as much as you do. So you have to give them as much opportunity, as much reason that they can actually make money with you and they can serve their outcome, which is whatever you find out from them. But I can assure you that providing them with the most amount of opportunities is what's going to keep people around. And you do that by having a teleteam to make the dials on the leads, because we know on good leads, on the good leads, right? On the real-time internet leads, we're looking at a 15 to 20% first day lead contact rate. The rest of those leads aren't contacted. So we buy 100 leads, we're going to contact 15 of them. Well, we know from our Telefunnel metrics that in order to get a quote, we need to have at least 10 contacts. Well, so do the math. We always need to look at that math. We have some calculators in some of our groups, so you can search around for those and they help you out with that. But after we have that teleteam in place and we're training them, now we have the producers. This is one of the big pieces that we've learned and evolved with over the last few years in running the Telefunnel system is we need to ensure that those leads that are coming in, going through that teleteam, that teleteam is well trained on what to do when they make contact, and then get that lead over to the producer. Remember, teleteam is sifters. They're getting the lead over to the salespeople, and the salespeople have to be properly trained to receive those leads, what to say when the person says no, and move it to a quote. Oftentimes, the quote is the most challenging piece. The quote is going to be the part that requires some savvy to convince them to do. Yes, they completed a form. They said they were interested, but guess what? They're not anymore. Not after everybody called them. Not after everybody called them. So we have to reconvince them to get that quote, and we need to almost force them into that quote so that that we have an opportunity, because we spend money on that, right? We spent money on that lead. We are going to squeeze it. We're going to get a quote out of it. So, and once we have that quote, we need to make sure that our sales team is properly closing that deal. Whether you're using the perfect script that we do, whether you're using somebody like Vlad with his sales process, somebody's solid sales process so that you can train against. And then finally, the follow-up. What we've found has been most effective is the only dials that producers are making are dials to people they've quoted. But they don't have that many quotes, Craig. No, they don't have that many quotes because you're not holding them accountable to 10 quoted households a day. If we can get them 10 new quoted households a day by paying, right, by buying traffic, by buying the leads, by buying those transfers over, by getting those leads into the queues of your teleteam, who are then going to transfer it, then they will get the results. And then they will have a giant bucket of quoted leads that you're going to continue to follow up on. They're going to follow up on those. We say daily. If they aren't able to close them, they're going to call them every day. And so they should have their pile of 100, 200 follow-up lead calls that they're going to put into their dialer and they're going to call to make contact with to close. So that is the final piece that most agents fail to put into place. So we need to avoid not having that process. And those those 5 components make up the process that we call the Telefunnel. So we appreciate you listening to this. I hope that this brought you maximum value. Would love to have some comments over on the YouTubes. So make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell, and you'll be off to the races with more insights and ways to win as an agent by being a subscriber of the YouTube channel. So thank you all, and we will see you on the other side.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over $10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.